Welcome to the first episode of the Dialed But Alive podcast. My name is Gunnar Ingram, and today is episode 1. I'm really excited about this. It's been something that I've wanted to do for years. I don't really know who's going to be listening to this. I'm sure the first episode is going to be a lot of my friends, family, people that I run with. So it's going to be kind of a loose podcast. I don't want like a script. It's not going to be entirely scripted out. Sometimes I might have people on. Sometimes I'll be doing race recaps. Sometimes I'll be doing, like today I'm just talking about my story and the podcast itself. So we got Pearson here behind the camera. Pearson, say what's up.
What's up?
It's like Jamie for Joe Rogan. He'll be on here some too, but today just going to be me. This is the setup. Let me know if you like it. I kind of love the industrial type of it, the mountains in the background. I don't know if you can really see the mountains, the tractor in the background. I am super excited to do one of these. Today, on the first episode, we're going to be talking about me. Going to be talking about my story and how I've gotten to where I am now. And it's not like I'm like some crazy sponsored athlete, but I do think that I have a lot of interesting things that I could talk about throughout my life. So, yeah, start off with the podcast itself. So, Dialed But Alive is the name of the podcast, and it's kind of a funny story. It's not a funny story where the name Dialed But Alive comes from, but it comes from Luke Hopkins. And so, when I ran the Austin Marathon last year in 2025, the expo before the Austin Marathon, I met Luke Hopkins, and I was asking him for advice on the race. Me and Hayden were sitting there talking to him, and he was like, I don't remember the exact context of it, I'm not going to lie, but he told us to stay dialed in, but allow yourself to live. And I shortened that to Dialed But Alive. My favorite video on my YouTube channel is actually called Dialed But Alive. Go check it out. If you haven't checked out the YouTube channel, it's a great video to start with. So basically the essence of the meaning of Dialed But Alive is you're structured and disciplined, but you're still human. Like, you're dialed in, but you're still alive. Like, you're still learning as you go. You're still figuring it out. You're still living your life. Like, even though you may be locked in, you can't make what you're dialed in on your entire life in the sense of it taking away from the human part. So I think that's really important. And maybe not balance, because some people don't like the word balance, because sometimes you have to be all in on something, but being able to enjoy stuff, taking the fun out of training or whatever, just kind of, I don't know, it takes the human out of it. And so you have to just, you just got to live. Like Matthew McConaughey says in Dazed and Confused, he's like, you just got to keep living, man. Livin. So, yeah, my name is Gunnar Ingram. As I said at the start of this, I'm sure if you're listening to this, you probably know who I am. But if not, I'm Gunnar Ingram. I was born and raised in Blairsville, Georgia. It's a small town in North Georgia, right in the mountains. I was born in the hospital in Blairsville. Went there for all my doctor's appointments. I've been here my whole life. I started out, so I went to Union County schools, and when I was little, fitness wasn't really a part of my life. I played sports. I played baseball. I played basketball, and I did, like kids play sports. I did that. But when I got into elementary school, I started to fall away from it, and I switched to things like Science Olympiad and like First Lego League, which are these academic competitions. And those aren't bad. Like, they're definitely good to get into. I don't regret anything necessarily. Sometimes I wish I would have played sports, or continued playing sports. But at the same time, I don't think if I had the time away from physical activity, would I be as much in physical activity right now. So those years that I was out, I think it was from like 3rd grade to 7th grade or so, I got pretty chubby, got really fat. I'll put a picture over on screen right now of what I looked like back then. And I wasn't too proud of myself. I remember looking in the mirror one time and really just hating the way I looked. And I think a couple of things were a wake-up call. The photo shoot that picture that I showed, actually, I remember seeing those pictures and being like, I am fat. Like, I genuinely remember just hating myself seeing that. I never really got bullied for it necessarily. People made fun of it. I've told some people like the specific joke in my life. I'm not going to say that because they'll know who they are. And I don't have beef with the person that said the joke. It was a funny joke, but it just kind of made me realize I was fat. And so that, plus at the time, I really liked this girl in middle school. Like, I really liked her. And I was like, well, if I play football, then maybe she'll like me. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to play football, I got to be fit. And so I got into playing football. And before I played football, I was like, I need to lose weight first. So what I would do is I would go run down and back on my road. I didn't know anything about fitness at the time. I didn't know anything about heart rate zones or adipose tissue. I literally was just running because I knew that that's how you lose weight. You would lose weight by just running, and I would eat chicken Caesar salads. I literally lived off Caesar salads for probably a year or two. This is White Monster, by the way. I had an Americano in there, but I just wanted something in here because it looks cool for the podcast. Yeah, so I did that for a while. My aunt lives next to us, and she had a treadmill and a little bench press, and I would go down there and I would run as hard as I could on the treadmill for 5 minutes, and then I would go rep out the bar on bench. And sure enough, that worked. I lost a ton of weight. I think I went from like 180 to 130, 135. I don't really know the time period that was in, but yeah, then football came around, and I lost more weight during football. I played defensive end. I was like 5'4", 135, playing DN in middle school. I think I played in one game. Actually, I played in one game as guard because I think Isaiah Sewell, shout out Isaiah, he was out for the game, and someone had to play center, and so I had to play guard. That game went by fast. Like, I barely even remember it, but it went by so fast. And I guess middle school has, like, shorter quarters. But, yeah, so I played football my 8th grade year, and I played it my freshman year. And then freshman year was whenever I started lifting weights because we had to be in weight training for football. And I really fell in love with the aspect of lifting weights and getting your numbers up more and more. I remember the first time I hit 135 on bench, I think I was lifting with Asa. Shout out Asa. I'm going to try to shout out as many people in this first podcast as I can because just being here is cool. So, yeah, shout out Asa. I remember he was there the first time I hit 135 on bench, and I thought I was the strongest person in the world because freshman benching 135. Little did I know that I would be going up from there. Yeah, so let's see. I have some notes here. I have like an outline, and yeah, so a lot of the lifting that I was doing wasn't really structured. It wasn't scheduled or anything. I'm sure the coach, the weightlifting coach, had like a plan for us, but we would just go in there and lift for a while, and then after like 4 or 5 weeks of lifting, we would do max days. I played football my freshman year. Again, I was DN, lineman, really skinny still. And then I quit playing after freshman year. And sophomore year, I just started being in the gym more. And so I would, again, chase numbers and lift a lot. I remember, I think sophomore year weight training, maybe junior, I think it was sophomore year weight training, I hit 225 on bench. I don't remember squat or deadlift at the time. I wasn't running at the time either. I was literally just lifting. And I loved it. I think that lifting is still probably the main love of training for me. But I don't know, as I get more and more into endurance sports, I love it. So, yeah, let's see. Yeah, so I started tracking calories and sleep more. Sophomore, junior year, just lifting, and then I think junior year I had a cut that I was on, and that's when I started running because I was like, well, I want to lose more weight, so I started doing 20 minutes of incline treadmill in the evening, and that would be like 150 calories or something I try to burn every day. And then I was like, well, why don't I just run? So I started running more. And as I ran on the treadmill, I was like watching videos of people running, and that's when I found Nick Bear. And Nick Bear completely changed my life. Shout out Nick Bear, BPN, the whole BPN squad. Like, these guys genuinely changed my life. And I met the squad in Austin, actually, and I have the tattoo here. Go One More tattoo. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but yeah, I got that because of how much BPN and that whole team has changed my life. I ran my first 5K in 4th of July 2023. I think it was the Freedom 5K in Blue Ridge, Georgia. I don't remember my time, but it was like 27 minutes, 28 minutes. It wasn't that fast. But I ran it with Cole. Cole's ran a lot of races with me. Shout out Cole. Cole's had a very similar journey. This dude actually was lifting before me in middle school and was part of the reason that I started lifting as well. So, yeah, I ran a couple 5Ks, and that got me more and more into running. I remember when I first started running, I would tell people, I was like, yeah, I want to do a 5K just because it's the hard thing to do. And I was like, I'm not going to run a marathon or anything. What? I would never do a marathon. But obviously that changed. And so eventually I did a 10K in Suches called the Run Above the Clouds. My favorite race to run. It is incredibly hard, but I love it because it's such deep in the mountains. It just reminds me of being home. And which they actually shut down the race recently, and kind of sucks. I don't know why. They didn't give a reason, but maybe if I get into influence like politics and stuff around the area locally, I'll try to get that back one day. It's on the list for sure. But yeah, so eventually I did all that. I ran track junior year, and I think junior year, I don't know, was it junior or senior year that I ran the marathon? It was senior year. So I ran track junior year, and I was in the mile, 2 mile. I don't think I ran the 2 mile much junior year, but mainly the mile, and I think I would run like 6:30s, so nothing crazy then. I threw as well, and so throwing was fun. I remember when Jack started throwing too. I got Jack Jack will tell the story himself. I'd love to have Jack on the podcast sometime, but Jack was like working at his 9-to-5 job, and his friend came in and got him to throw, and turns out Jack is now the greatest thrower in Union County history. That dude kills it. He's now throwing at ETSU. Shout out Jack. He's busting his ass at ETSU, making sure he's throwing. I mean, he's throwing a college disc. I don't want to misquote numbers, but I'll overhype him up. If anything, it's like high hundreds, I'm pretty sure. So he's doing great there. Track was probably my favorite part of high school, I would say. And junior year was also around the time that I started videoing sports, doing sports videography. I had my own brand called Ingram Productions, which I still technically have. I guess this would be an Ingram production, also shot by Pearson because he's behind the camera, per usual. So yeah, junior year track, and that made me really like the foundational training part of running. Like, I think before then I was just kind of running without a purpose or like without a point, but that really showed me how structured workouts could really help you. So going from just running nothing or just running without a real plan to doing structured workouts and stuff, that was really fun because it showed me how fun it is to be involved in the actual training stats. Because when you're seeing improvements from this day of 1,200 repeats to 3 months later doing 1,200 repeats at a faster pace, but your heart rate's the same, like, that's pretty cool to see. And I didn't place anything junior year, but senior year, I played football again, and this is where I'll go in chronological order. Also, if I'm a little all over the place, I'm sorry. I'm slightly nervous. I'm not like really nervous, but I also I didn't have this like entirely planned out. I'll figure it out every podcast we go. But yeah, so I started playing football senior year, obviously practice over the summer, and I had marathon prep coming up too. So I was running, and like, for example, a day of first semester senior year for me would be wake up at 4:45, lift, go to school, get out of lift, go to football practice, get back from football practice, do athletic movements like power cleans, plyos, and then run, and then edit whatever videos I had. And so I was going to bed at like 11 o'clock at night, getting up at 4:45. It's not horrible sleep schedule. Like, you definitely could get less sleep, but for the amount of work that I was doing on my body and stress that I was taking, it was a lot, especially on my knees. And so I got bilateral patellar tendinopathy in both of my knees, which I still have, and it really limited me to where I couldn't squat anymore. And so in weight training, senior year, I hit 300 on bench, 405 squat for 2, 450 deadlift, and I think a 245 clean. So that was my strongest, and I was probably at my heaviest too. I was like 200 then. And that really took a toll on my knees to where in football season, I actually partially tore my left patellar tendon because it was so inflamed. And I think it was during the Fannin game. And so I remember I went to the orthopedic for that. And at the end of football season, or close to the end of football season, she was like, you don't need to be playing football anymore. She's like, you're probably not going to run track. And she was like, you're definitely not running a marathon. And me being me, did it all anyway. I finished out football season, didn't really do much. I'm not going to lie, senior year was just kind of, I was there for the vibes and Trent Webster. But outside, and Connor. Shout out Connor. Connor is one of the greatest human beings that I know. And I genuinely, part of the reason that I played football was him, because I love hanging out with Connor. I love being around him. Stand-up guy. Shout out him. He's a father now. Great dad. I hope he's listening to this. I'll tell him to listen to it. I love the idea of like specific people listening to this podcast right now. And yeah, I didn't even mention, me and Pearson met junior year when I was filming football because he was playing that year. And that's the other half. That's my other half, my better half. He's the other half of potential performance, which we'll talk about in a second. So yeah, finished out football season. Knees are still killing me, but I was still running throughout football season. I took maybe a week off, or I took a few weeks off, and I had like a thing on my legs, like a brace. And so I would literally wear it during the day and then take it off for football practice. And so then February came around, and it was like a week or two into track season, and I ran the Austin Marathon. And this was one of the greatest experiences of my life, because the day before the Austin Marathon, so it was me, Hayden, and Mom, flew out to Texas, and we went to the expo, and I got to meet Nick Bear, I got to meet Luke Hopkins, Nathan French, Nico Fellick, Fonzian, I got to meet Lucy Davis. Awesome experience. I got to talk to them all too. Actually, I talked a little bit about talking to Luke. Luke is like my favorite influencer. This dude is an influencer in the every meaning of the term. Like, this dude influences people in the best way possible. Shout out Luke. So I got to meet all of them, and then the day after was the Austin Marathon. I ran, I think, a 4:18, and I didn't have breakfast that morning because I didn't bring any food in the hotel. Excuse me. I didn't bring any food in the hotel, and the hotel didn't have any food. So I brought a bunch of gels, and I had extra gels, so I ate like 3 extra gels and ran on an empty stomach. And I got a 4:18. I bonked at mile 18. But coming across that finish line still may be one of the best experiences of my life. Like, I genuinely think that that feeling of coming across, and I had Superstar by Lupe Fiasco playing in my AirPods. I came across the finish line listening to that, and it was just pure bliss. Like, the feeling of coming across, hugging my mom, seeing the camera there filming, getting the medal around my neck was amazing. And I think that's when I knew this is what I wanted to do with my life, is to make sure I am as fit as possible and achieve my potential to show other people what's possible. Because obviously I came from ground zero when it comes to fitness. Like, 7th grade me, it was horrible. Like, I'd be curious to go back and see what my mile time was. I'm sure it would be like 12, 13 minutes. But yeah, finished the marathon, and that, like, a few days after the marathon, we had our first track meet, and I went and ran like a 6:14 mile and like a 13:59 2 mile. I don't know exactly on those numbers, so I may be misquoting it. But yeah, it was a great week of really just absorbing what I had done there. And then after that, we had my senior track season, which I got my mile time down to 6, and got my mile time down to 6 flat. I never broke 6 flat. I think I ran 6 flat like 3 straight times. And so, yeah, senior track season was great. Again, being able to hang out with the team, being able to run with everybody. Like, obviously, Jack threw. I threw senior season too, so throwing with Jack and Jackson, and then running with the long distance guys, Arthur, Oliver, John Tippett. Like, they're all great guys, and I miss track so much. But they had a great season. They won region this year, so that was cool. Later that year, I think it was either during or it was either right at the end of the track season or right after. I gotta sneeze. Sorry about that. I think right after track season, it was in April, me and Sawyer ran the Run Above the Clouds and such as. I got second overall in the 10K, and Sawyer won the 5K. That was one of the most enjoyable races I've ever done, too. That was awesome. Filmed that video, the Dialed But Alive video I mentioned on my YouTube channel, is the video, my favorite video, but it's also the video with that 10K in it. And I love that video, love that race. Great experience. Then me and Sawyer decided shortly after that race we were going to do 50 miles on a track. And so, yeah, we ended up prepping until August 2nd, which was the day. But my knees were hurting so bad that I literally couldn't have a full prep. So I ran, I think, 30 miles the month before the 50-miler. That night before, I couldn't sleep. So I slept maybe 45 minutes or an hour that night and got up on 45 minutes of sleep and basically no prep and ran 50 miles on the track. That was insane. The hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. Sawyer beat me by like 3 or 4 hours, but I finished in 14 and a half hours. And yeah, it was my first ultra marathon, but it was a great experience. It showed me what it feels like to be that to be that deep into pain and suffering. And like, I've read all of David Goggins' books. You see people run these marathons. My favorite, or ultra marathons, and my favorite YouTube video is Nick Bear's video at Leadville, which I want to do Leadville soon too, but we'll talk about that. And you see like them deep in this pain, but you don't understand how deep into pain you can get until you're there. Like running this marathon, or running this 50 miler, I remember I ran the first half marathon of it. Either the first half marathon or the first marathon with no AirPods, because I wanted to make it a little harder for me. And then I got to where I could use AirPods, use them for maybe a couple hours, and then I just didn't want anything. Like I couldn't talk really. I didn't want music. I was just looking down at the track, one step after another. And Jude ran this with me. He didn't run the full 50 miles. He ran like 20 miles of it, but still 20 miles. And a bunch of people came and ran some. Hayden ran some. Braden ran some. Even I think Pearson ran a couple miles of it. Mom ran some with me. So that was an awesome experience. And I remember after saying, I was like, I don't think I'll ever do another 50 miler or something again. But here we are, probably looking forward to 100 miles on the track soon. But yeah, after that, then I got into triathlon training, which is where we're at now in triathlon training. So I started riding the bike, started getting in the swim, started swimming more. And after I moved to college, started doing some of that in college. And then last October, me and Sawyer did the Rock and Rollman Olympic Triathlon in Macon. It's either in Macon or like around Macon. And I finished in like 3:20, got second in age group. It was an awesome race. It was, honestly, it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. And I think it's because it's 3 different disciplines. And obviously Olympic shorter than like half Ironman and Ironman. But for the race itself, it was an awesome race. It was really fun. Yeah, and then after that, I had planned on doing the Austin Marathon again this last February, but I really was not as locked in as I wanted to be, so I ended up not running the Austin Marathon. And I got, I'd committed to doing Ironman 70.3 Chattanooga, which is now 2 weeks away, exactly 2 weeks away. And so I started a couple months ago really dialing back in my training, and I got dialed in again, and here we are, like, I just hired a coach, a real coach. Shout out Will Horkoff. Dude is an animal. I don't know if he would be listening to this. I'm going to tell him about it. But shout out Will Horkoff. This dude got second in age group at his last half Ironman. He's prepping for Kona right now. I think he's prepping to go sub-9 and a full Ironman, which is absurd. Sub-9 is like, I can't even picture it in my head, because I think right now I'd probably run like a 14-hour Ironman. But yeah, I'm fully locked into this prep now, 2 weeks out, and yeah, that brings us up to now in training. I guess I'll go back in and fill in some pieces here. So I talked about Ingram Productions. I think I started that junior year for like sports videography, but I also started filming for YouTube channel, and which it's the YouTube channel. This is only if you're listening to it on YouTube. I think this is also going to be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If I can get it on there, that would be great. But yeah, you can go back and watch my old videos, and you can even see, I think I started recording videos before I was even running. So back then I was just lifting in the gym, filming it by myself. And then I think shortly after that, me and Jude became friends. Jude, I would not be the person that I am today if it wasn't for Jude Michael Ellis. This dude is an animal. Before I started working hard, this dude was getting up early, training to be a basketball star. Like, I remember one day, after we started hanging out for a couple weeks, and I realized how devoted he was, let me start this out with, actually I have a quote here, and I posted it on Instagram one time, and it's from Poems and Prayers that Matthew McConaughey wrote, and it says, let's see, it's in one of my posts here, I think. Yeah, okay. It says, doers climb the wrong mountains well. Dreamers climb the right mountains, but aren't at home on hills. Doers help dreamers climb more mountains. Dreamers help doers climb the right ones. Kind of confusing at first, I'll be honest. But once you break it down, it talks about how doers and dreamers. Doers can climb a mountain really well, but they may not be climbing the right ones because they're not dreaming high enough. And then dreamers can dream about climbing the right mountains, but they're not working hard enough to get there. So when you have a doer and a dreamer together, that's when it really gets to the point where you're reaching your full potential. And Jude really made me realize how hard I needed to work to match my dreams. And I think I kind of gave him the dreams to match his hard work. And so it was like, salt and pepper. Like, we really mixed together really well. And I remember I texted him after we hung out a few weeks that I was serious. I'm like, I don't want to continue being this lesser version of myself. And he said, okay. He was like, I'm sitting in front of your bed tomorrow at 5 a.m. and I'm not leaving until you get up. We got up and trained, and then we started doing that. And that really started to teach me discipline. And we started working out together and lifting and all that. And he's run some with me too. And I think that has carried on to where now the hard work that I am doing now started because of that conversation that me and him had about being serious about it. And now he's a college basketball athlete, which if you look at the statistics on how many high school basketball players go to college, it's insanely low. And I've always told him he could go pro if he wanted to, and I don't know if that's his plan anymore, but he may go play overseas. He may work his way up to where he eventually gets to the G League or league. I don't know. I've always told him he could go to the league, but we'll see. And then some other people too. Pearson behind the camera. Met Pearson junior year whenever I started filming football, and we started hanging out here and there. And then he was like, I've actually thought about doing sports photography and videography myself. And I was like, dude, do it. And so he did it. He bought a camera, started doing it, and genuinely the most talented photographer, videographer I have ever met. This dude can look at it, can like picture in his head a shot, know exactly what he wants, and get it. And then he knows how to edit it too. And like what my experience with like photography and videography is that like you either have it or you don't. You can't really teach someone that level of creativity and vision. And you don't have to teach Pearson. Dude knows what he's talking about. Like even this shot right now, this is entirely him. And the photos from this podcast, all him. Like this dude is great. And so senior year, we had been talking about like, let's do a brand together. Like I've looked up to these brands like Bare Performance Nutrition, Satisfy, these running brands. And I was like, I want a brand based on potential, like based on helping people realize that potential isn't this far off thing. Potential is something that you live up to every single day. You can reach your potential if you do it every day. And so we started the brand Potential Performance. And so we dropped a shirt and a hoodie, and we have athletes and all that. Athletes, it's mainly our friends, but it's the high-performing friends. So, yeah, we have big plans for that. This podcast isn't necessarily directly linked to it, but it is obviously part of Potential Performance, or just Potential. I like calling it just Potential. Yeah, so that's great. Cole has ran a lot of races with me. Me and Cole have been friends since first grade. Me, him, and Hayden have been friends since like first grade. And so Cole has ran these races with me. He's done Spartan races on himself. He plans to do like ultra Spartan races. He wants to do an Ironman with me eventually. So that dude works so hard for like everything that he does. He's great. Sawyer runs these races with me. Sawyer could be Ironman world champion one day, I think, and go to Kona and go to Worlds. So all these people, and I can mention so many more people, but these are the people that have really helped me on this progress to where I am now. And they've supported me. My mom and dad especially. Like, they have really taught me that you can do whatever you want. It's kind of corny, but it's like you can be whatever you want to in life. You just have to be actionable and stuff. You have to see what you want, and then you have to be laser locked on it and do everything you can to do that. It may be chaotic sometimes, but there's this quote, and it's like if it doesn't feel like the car is braking, or if it doesn't feel like you're out of control, you're not going fast enough. So I like to live my life at 100 miles an hour and have 10 things on my plate at one time, but it always ends up working out. I don't really know how to explain it. Like if I'm this close to missing an assignment due date because I ran or whatever, it always finds a way to get done. So if you're doing exactly what you feel like you're doing, God is going to help you find a way to make it work. And so, yeah, we got Potential Performance rolling. We've had my YouTube channel going for a while. Obviously, we've got this podcast going now. Yeah, I think that I pretty much talked about majority of my story. I think I mentioned I moved to Kennesaw. I'm an athlete at Kennesaw State. I'm not athlete at Kennesaw State. I train on my own, and I go to Kennesaw State, so I'm not a college athlete technically. But, yeah, I think this next semester I'm going to kind of be home more too. Obviously, I have to be here to film this podcast. Going to be filming more YouTube videos with Pearson. And, yeah, I think I've talked about what I want to, but this isn't the end of my story. This is really just the start. Like, I haven't even done the Ironmans that I want to yet. I want to do the Leadville 100 next year. I want to do 100 miles on a track. I have all these ideas. I want to eventually, when I get my knees healed, I want to do powerlifting. Maybe even eventually do a bodybuilding show just to have all the hybrid stuff together and have all these accomplishments. I want to grow potential, start other businesses, maybe get into politics someday. And I think that's the point of life, is like all of these things under the umbrella of your potential isn't something that you have to hope that you reach one day. Like, you have to know that you're going to be there. And I know that I'm going to be successful one day, and not necessarily just for the fact of being successful, but for the fact of helping other people. Like, I've seen the process that I've went through, the process that Judah's went through, the process that Pearson's went through, and like seeing that they can go from that, we can go from that baseline to where we are now and still be nowhere near our potential, puts a fire in me to know that I want to go even further. And I hope it puts a fire in you too. And so the whole point of this podcast, Dialed But Alive, is to be dialed in, be as structured, as disciplined as you can, but understand it's not going to come fast. It's not going to be something that happens overnight. It's not going to be something that you can go, like, I mean, even all the setups that I have right now, I started with a ZV-E10 camera, which is not as good as the FX30. I started with an older MacBook. I didn't even have a microphone. I just bought the microphone. Like, all this stuff is going to come over time. You just have to start, what can you do tomorrow? If that's making one healthy meal decision, make one healthy decision. If that's reaching out to somebody and seeing how you can help them, then do that. If it's just praying, then anything that you can do today to make the version of yourself tomorrow or a year from now or 10 years from now happier, that's what you have to do. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have. I really appreciate everyone for listening to this. I'm sorry if it was a little all over the place. It's the first one that we're doing. But we'll be back. Episode 2, I'm hoping, is a race recap of Ironman 70.3 Chattanooga. And yeah, thank you for everybody that has supported me. Thank you for everybody listening to this. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Pearson, you have anything? Nope. All right. Hey, that's a wrap. Pretty good.